Welcome back to my series, Dance Mums Uncovered. Abby has been very vocal since the show's conclusion, but a lot of what she has been claiming contradicts her own words or the words of others, because there was a lot more to her claims than Abby cared to show. Feel free to share your thoughts on the following evidence. First, let's look at Abby's shaming. Both on and off the show, Abby has shamed people for behaving in the exact same way she has behaved. For instance, Abby has declared that dancers who do TikTok dances are dumbing themselves down to do trends. She has even shamed Gianna for spending too much time making TikToks. And yet, despite all of this criticism, the ALDC runs a TikTok class.
Abby was actually the one that said this, but I kind of agree with her. For actually trained professional dancers, you almost dumb yourself down for TikTok.
Gianna and Natalie, they're on the naughty list because suddenly they think they're TikTok famous. No matter what they do, they try to make it into a TikTok. Girls, you are more creative than that. For older kids, teenagers, there's even a TikTok class. I think it's on Monday nights or Thursday nights. It's a half an hour. It's just learning the hot new TikTok routine that's out and doing it and filming it.
Christy has pointed out how hypocritical Abby has been in shaming her over the years. In Season 1, Episode 4, Abby called her an uneducated mess, which is inaccurate because Christy went to college, but Abby never did. Abby has also claimed that Christy was always trying to make an extra buck and being greedy by doing meet and greets across the country. All the while, Abby was the one eventually indicted for fraud, and she allegedly sent an email with the subject line, "Let's make money and keep me out of jail."
You clearly favor Maddie on the show. What do you have against Chloe?
I don't like the way she's being raised by her parents. I think it's horrible.
Fair.
She's a great dancer, but then dancing didn't become so important. And running around the country and trying to make an extra buck here and an extra buck there and gimme, greedy.
I hate that Abby called me an uneducated mess.
Oh, okay, yes.
Go
the
on.
fact that she called you that, did she go to college?
Next, let's explore the lack of etiquette. It's no secret that Abby trains her students to behave with the kind of etiquette that even most adults would struggle to uphold. Based on the claims of several of her fellow cast members, however, it seems that even she doesn't uphold her own standards. The mums on the Because Mum Said So podcast recall that someone on the show used to be really bad with sending food back at restaurants, and they heavily imply that it was Abby. Apparently the kids used to apologise to waiters on her behalf. Kelly describes an instance where she went with her to a Chinese restaurant, and she brought a can of tomato soup with her. She then proceeded to ask the staff to put the soup into the beef stew that she had ordered. There was a bonus scene of the show where she takes the girls out to dinner with an etiquette coach and proceeds to be corrected on a lot of her behaviour.
Do you know somebody who is never happy at a restaurant?
Someone used to complain. Our kids would be...
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, her. Of course.
They would apologize for her. I remember Maddie
Yeah.
be so, I'm so sorry. You know, I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't have to say sorry for someone being mean.
Wait a second. It was you who told me that you went to the Chinese restaurant with her once.
She ordered, I think it was beef and broccoli or something, and she brought a can of Campbell's tomato soup and asked them to mix it in with it.
But eating out isn't the only place where Abby breaks her own rules of etiquette. During an Instagram Live, she interrupted an outdoor acrobatics class, giving one of the students instructions. Given how irritated she gets when someone tries to interrupt her classes, you would think that she wouldn't get involved. In general, her online behaviour has been considered very disruptive. She has been accused of harassing Sophia Lucia on social media, asking her to chat, DMing her, and messaging her manager.
She's never done anything to me except for DM me, criticizing the post that I have on my feed, or wanting something from me after she's criticized me. And I have a screenshot that's so lovely. And I'm like, I don't owe you my career.
And lastly, Abby has admitted to participating in some childish shenanigans back in the day. She says that on the night before Halloween, she would have a Devil's Night party as a kid with her friends from the neighbourhood. They would terrorise the houses around them, soaking windows, putting toilet paper everywhere, and waking people up by shooting windows with pea shooters.
We terrorized the neighborhood. Anybody's car that was parked outside in their driveway and not tucked away in the garage for safety, their windows were getting soaked. And yes, the windows on your house. Toilet paper in the bushes, toilet paper in the trees, toilet paper around your mailbox, toilet paper around your columns if you had columns in front of your house. What is this? Do you all know what this is? It's a pea shooter. When that hits your window, it's gonna wake you up.
It's hard to believe that she yelled at her own students so often for childish behaviour, being noisy and making messes, knowing full well the kind of chaos that she caused with her own friends at their age. Evidence number 3, inconsistent training. When Abby is discussing her teaching style, there doesn't seem to be much consistency in her messaging. In contrast to everything we've seen on the show where Abby becomes furious in response to her students losing, Abby has claimed that it is good for kids to lose competitions because it teaches them how to lose gracefully.
And I really do think it's good for kids to lose at a dance competition. They need to learn defeat and how to lose gracefully.
Kelly and Christy point out that Abby constantly called the kids slugs when she was the one who had free time to lie in bed all day while the girls were attending school. They also noticed that during the late night trio rehearsal for Over and Over, Abby says that she wants the tears to be over, and yet she goes back into the room to scream, "Grow up," right in their faces. Surely she would have realised that this was an ineffective way to get the kids to calm down.
She's disappointed because the energy level could have been higher, and you can't have a bunch of slugs on stage. Meanwhile, she would lay in bed in the morning while those slugs were in school.
All day.
All day.
Till
Yeah.
it's time to film.
We're trying to comfort them so they can get their brains straight so they can go back in and do it right
Exactly.
for you.
Yeah.
Screaming at them until they're like incapacitated isn't going to make the mistakes go away.
Abby has also insisted that she loves all her students equally. If the way she treated her students that were on the show wasn't enough to contradict this statement, she also had an entire team of students off camera that she treated as outcasts. Brittany Pent has revealed that she was part of one of Abby's dance teams, which she called the Big Shots, because the kids were slightly heavier than the other kids their age. While other teams had fun names like the Elites or the Divas, their defining characteristic was their weight. They were the only team at the studio who did not receive team leotards.
We were so mean and we were so nasty and we hated that little girl. That's all BS. That is ridiculous. Yes, you know, every kid comes in the studio and you love them.
So that's what really happened.
You mean like when you were in a group called the Big Shots because you were, I by no means am body shaming Brittany. Like, let's be very clear. Brittany was, you had a little baby fat. Like, I mean, honestly.
Yeah, we were like totally the outcasts. Like, I remember every single group, like the Elites and the Petites and this and that. We were called the Big Shots. And then they all got company leotards and they left us out.
I remember. Your mom was so pissed.
4. The show's creation. Abby has a very different idea of how the show began compared to some other cast members. Time and time again, Abby has insisted that production did not intend for her to be featured on the show. She elaborated, claiming that it wasn't until they were filming the 3rd episode, when she fought with Minister Dawn, that they decided to feature her.
I was never on the show. I was never on the show. Nope.
So the show idea was created without you?
Well, I stepped out and had to call the police on a mother. And then they were like, Lifetime saw the footage and was like, who the hell is this woman?
Yeah.
I wasn't on the show. It was a housewives show. I wasn't on it till the 3rd episode. And then they switched it and used it as the 1st episode. And the rest is history.
However, executive producer Jeff Collins has claimed that Abby was always supposed to be on the show, suggesting that her inclusion wasn't ever in question. Christy has added that before the show started, she was asked by production to get footage of things happening around the studio. She sent them footage of Abby teaching Chloe, and producer Brian Stinson called her and asked if the studio was really run by a teacher who couldn't dance and who yelled at little kids. She claims that she then proceeded to film an audition for Abby, which was sent to the producers.
I heard that originally she actually wasn't considered to be part of the show. Is that true?
No, I don't think that's true. It was obvious when you saw her teach and you saw her teaching methods that she was a very, big character that you just couldn't stop watching.
So I sent him footage of her working with Chloe, and I also did a ton of footage of Chloe dancing. He literally called me like an hour after I sent him that footage of Abby, and he's like, "Do you really have a dance teacher that can't dance and yells at little kids?" And I was like, yeah. He gave me a list of questions to ask her, and we sat in the den with me and my flip camera, and I did Abby's total audition.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that.
I did. So anytime she's like, I didn't audition, everybody auditioned. We all auditioned for that show.
Abby also insists that the girls never did a dance audition to get on the show, claiming that all they had to do was sit in a chair next to the mums while the parents were interviewed. Abby has declared that if the girls had to audition, one of the mums who had 2 girls would never have auditioned because she wouldn't think her kids were ready. She says that another one never would have made it if the child had to miss school to audition, because she was not allowed to miss a single hour of school. But according to Christy and Kelly, there were actually auditions for dance mums. They say that Abby tried to send Christy and Kelly to New York for a competition in order to stop them from going to this audition. Fortunately, Christy managed to organise early auditions for them with production. We've also seen actual audition footage with Chloe dancing and interviewing in front of the camera.
Those kids never auditioned to be dancers on a dance show on television. They never did that. They were just cute little girls that came in and sat next to their mommies. The kids never auditioned for the show. Had they had to audition, I guarantee you that some of those children, one mom with 2 girls, would have never brought her kids to an audition because they weren't prepared. They weren't ready. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Another one, if they had to miss school, she wouldn't have been there because she was not allowed to miss an hour of school.
The weekend that they were coming to audition everyone, Kelly and I got sent to New York by our dance teacher. She wanted us to take our kids to compete there that weekend. But I had been talking to the casting director, so he knew we were leaving, so they came the night before to do our auditions.
And finally, we have contradicting insults. Christy and Kelly have pointed out that the Zieglers were taken care of when Melissa went on holidays in season 1. Yet when Holly was working, Abby insulted her and accused her of not being involved in Nia's life. This is a narrative that she continues to proclaim to this day. They have also recognised that Abby kept saying that Nia's dad should have stayed for rehearsals, even though when Kurt tried to help out with his kids in season 1, Abby told him to go away. Christy and Kelly point out that in season 1, episode 4, Abby tells Christy that she isn't going to ruin this day, when just a few hours earlier, Paige forgot her solo, and Abby was incredibly upset about it. Similarly, Kelly notices that Abby calls Brooke worthless in season 2, episode 3, despite the fact that just a few scenes earlier, she didn't want to show up to the competition without Brooke because she thought they would lose. She also points out the hypocrisy of Abby yelling at the kids to never talk about weddings or divorces, when she had been filmed asking Maddie, Chloe and Mackenzie about it a few weeks earlier. So what do you guys think? Which of Abby's claims seem the most far-fetched? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!